Welcome to Real Talk. As a part of Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. I'm your host, K-Dub. Today we're speaking with a friend of the show. I'm sure that a number of us have already are familiar with this particular guest. She's been on previously to talk about some sporting events, but this time we're going to kind of flip the interview, flip our message speaking with her today. This time we're going to talk about some things that people are not familiar with in regards to our international appearance. Life in Afghanistan. I like to bring back to the Ain't No Half Stepping show with Marcus J audience, but this is our first time on Real Talk. We're going to be talking with world traveler, entrepreneur, former ODU Hall of Famer, and also a former WNBA WNBA champion, Miss Nyree Roberts. What's going on, Nye?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. Hey, since you're a friend to the show, we're just going to jump right into it. The reason that I wanted to bring you in is that you have an experience that is a little bit different from a number of the people that we conversate with and share experiences with. You did a number of years over in Afghanistan on a military base. So
yes.
I wanted to talk a little bit about, some of your experiences and some of the things that you've seen, heard, and, just being over there. So let me start off by asking you, what was your position or some of the duties that you had while you were on that particular base? And if you could shout that base out, that would be appreciated as well.
Okay, so I worked in Afghanistan from 2012 to 2016. My particular job title was MWR technician, and what I did, my MWR stands for Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. So what I did was basically provide the fun stuff for the military. So anything recreationally that we could come up with, whether it be indoor, outdoor. So we did like a lot of basketball tournaments, volleyball tournaments, the place where you come in to play games, watch TV. I would do March Madness, the brackets, just try to keep up with what's going on in the States. So like if there was a Peachtree run here, 5K, we would do one over there and shadow them. So we try to just keep it fun, basically. I had a really great job, lots of fun, and I got to meet a bunch of different people because everybody came through the MWR.
So basically you kept people from, for less of a better term, from going crazy over there, from just being in the war, what have you.
Oh,
okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, granted, we may take it for granted, but I'm sure that it's real important with, just keeping morale up,
Yes.
and keeping
that was the main thing. Keep morale up. That was it right there. So I talked to a lot of people and listened to a lot of, people have problems, and I just, was a listening ear for the most part.
Okay. When you first got over there, like, when did it kind of hit you that boom? All right, I'm in the heart of the matter. I'm in belly of the beast. This is where, a lot of, we've been over there for years. So, like, when did it hit you that, okay, I'm in Afghanistan?
So when I first, so before I got there, I had a close family member who was working over there, and so I had her, kind of send me pictures of the living quarters and the base, as much as she could send, of course. And so I was a little bit prepared, but when I got over there, I was like sleeping in a tent. So that was the initial reality. I had to fly on a helicopter for the first time, and then you have to put on the kit, like the vest and the helmet and everything like the military. So it hits you right away. It's no, it's not good. It's a little hard living. So it hits you right away. It's nothing that gradually you're going to get into. It's in your face as soon as you leave Dubai.
What precautions did you have to kind of do in order to prepare yourself? Like, I'm sure it was a lot of mental precautions, but, as far as things that they kind of hit you to, like, okay, hey, you're not going to be able to do X, Y, Z.
So, it's kind of one of those things, like when you're going to college, people tell you something, but until you get there, then you realize, like, you realize it a little bit more once you're there. So we had training, and we had training for a couple of weeks, and they kind of just kind of hit us to the living conditions and just everyday life. We were under General Order Number 1, which it includes a lot of things, but the main things for us civilians is no drinking, no relationships.
Which I'm sure everybody went by the rules, right?
Absolutely
wink.
Not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But when I first got over there, I mean, I didn't know that people were drinking and people were, having relationships. The relationships I found out really quickly because it's like living in a fishbowl, when you're the new girl or the new guy. I mean, everybody is, kind of after you or whatever. So that hit me like the first week. But the drinking part, I didn't find out until like years later.
They were trying to keep it from you?
Well, no, I mean, I wasn't drinking at the time, and so I just, it wasn't something that was it's just not out in the open. You have to run with a certain, crowd to figure out where the parties are and where the, you know how it is. It reminded me of college.
Oh, okay. Except that you in the desert.
Right, and you're getting paid.
And you're getting paid. Exactly. Right. What's the mindset of like the soldiers while they over there? I want to deep dive and figure out. What's the mindset of a soldier that's over there? Let's say he or she has been over there for a year or what have you. Like, what from you being a civilian, granted you're a contractor over there.
Right.
What do you see as far as the mindset? What are they thinking? How are they dealing with that, being over there day to day?
So let me just tell you, the soldiers, I would break them up into two different groups, first and foremost. There's soldiers who go outside the wire, and when I say outside the wire, that just means they're going outside the base every day. Then there are soldiers who never go outside the base. So the ones that work in the DFAC or the ones that work in finance, or it depends on your job. So some soldiers have never been outside the wire. They've been deployed many, many, many times, but they have never worked outside or gone outside the wire. Some go every day. Some are security, for higher ups or important people or whatever. So they go out every day and they're the security detail. There's so many different jobs. Some people are fuelers, some people, really it's just a lot of, some people work in the cafeteria, warehouse or whatever. So it depends. I would assume, like, to me, from the outside looking in, a deployment is a deployment. Mm-hmm. So the soldiers who go out, don't go out, they all work as a unit, you know what I mean? And, at first when I got there, I used to be like, oh, these people, they don't even, they're not in any more danger than I am. But they really are, because they can be called out, and they obviously have a different mindset than us contractors. Now, I do know some contractors, they go out with the military every single day as well. So you kind of live with them, you sleep with them, in the same buildings. You do the same things as them, But obviously, I have the utmost respect for the military because they can be deployed many, many, many times. I know people look. This was their 7th deployment or 5th deployment. As a contractor, you can just leave anytime. If you're not feeling it one day, you can just leave and, quit your job or whatever, but they don't have the option. So, I feel like the people that I met, most of them, this wasn't their first deployment. So, and the base that I was on, we did not get hit. And when I say get hit, I mean, rockets, missiles flying into the base every day. There's bases around Afghanistan where you get hit, multiple times a day. My base that I ended at, we never got hit, but then I was on a base where the DFAC got blown up. So, I've seen all of it,
So, I mean, all right. So you've had these conversations with a number of the soldiers that are there. I know what we're told on TV. I know that, the government wants to have it look one way, but the people that are actually in it, their perspective will be different. would you say that 100% everybody is line in step with what the government is telling us, or is there situations where, you got soldiers over there and they're coming to you and be like, nah, I'm so ready to get up out of here. I wish we wasn't over here, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that. I've heard that. Normally you hear that type of thing at the end of a deployment. So now, back in the day, they used to have them stay over longer, but now I think it's about 9 months. And there are people that extend or whatever, but 9 months is what I've seen traditionally in the last 3 or 4 years that I've been over there.
Mm-hmm.
They've been over there about 9 months, but at the end of the 9 months is when you have a lot of people that they're just ready to go home. They're ready to go home. They do the whole 9 months straight. With my company, we got we worked 90 days on, and then we had 3 weeks off. So I got to go home or out of Afghanistan at least 4 times a year. Where the like I said, the soldiers, they are there, and I mean it starts to wear on them. I didn't really get to talk politics per se with them, but the good thing is I got there in November of 2012. But this year, this past year in 2016 is obviously when the presidential election was going on, and so that gave me a whole different perspective about how people really felt about the military.
Let's talk about that. Because I know that you and I have had these conversations, and you said that according to, and I'm going to try to be as politically correct as possible, it went down cultural lines. Even though, everybody is over there fighting, this particular battle for this one particular cause, there are divisions in regards to, with the, with the commander-in-chief, sitting in the office or what have you. Tell me a little bit about, when that was going on, when the election over here was going on and you being over there.
Okay, so what first I want to say is the Army or the military in general, it's just the same as the real world. You know what I mean? You have people from all different walks of life, white, black, young, old, male, female. So you have a lot. It's just like I said, it's like kind of like going to college. This election really kind of showed me a lot of people's true colors. There were a lot of, and it's so funny because it was Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton, but the racial issues and racial commentary, it started to come out, which I find hilarious because I'm like, wait a minute, these are two white people, if I can say that. And
you can say it. This real talk. This real talk.
Yeah.
You can say it.
And of course, I was there for the last 4 years of Barack Obama's his second term, and there was a lot of disrespect toward the president. I will say that. When I heard it, I addressed it. But with Donald Trump, honestly, and this never crossed my mind until it happened. There were a lot of soldiers saying, I do not want a female commander-in-chief. And I was in shock because I was thinking to myself, okay, so you would rather have, 45.
Twitter fingers. Yeah,
right. Yeah, right. You would rather have him than a woman, And, the thing about it, though, with Hillary Clinton, they were, they were still, some people were still upset with her about the Benghazi situation a lot. And, of course, I was around the military, so that came up a lot. They were talking about Bill Clinton, which it really didn't have anything to do with it, in my opinion. But they a lot of people said, I would never vote for a woman, period, in the story. Like, it doesn't matter who the woman is. And that was the most shocking thing for me about this election. Of course, I knew about the racism. It never went away or anything like that. I wasn't in denial about that. But I really thought we were past the whole, female, being capable of running the country. I just thought that, that was going to
Well,
I thought Hillary was going to win. The majority of the people I work with and soldiers and whatever and contractors, DOD, everybody, we all thought Hillary was going to win. And, I mean, I'm not joking. Like, when we were watching it, I mean, it was like it was just very odd. It was very odd to be over there in the thick of that and, you know.
Well, you think about this. People you would have thought that people would have gotten past the whole black-white issue in regards to Barack. But, you know, once he got in office, you kind of saw who was on which team. So, you know, I will correlate that to the whole, you know, a woman or being in a woman being in the office, that there's people that still have those biases and prejudices as well.
Yeah. Well,
I
definitely saw it.
You would hope that it wouldn't be like that, but, I mean, unfortunately, it looks as though from what you're telling us is that even in the military, people still had that closed-mindedness.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
The good thing about being over there and being with the military is, you know, I got to talk to the lower-ranked guys, the ones who have been in the military, you know, 1 or 2 years. I got to talk to generals. I mean, I got to talk to I was on a base, fortunately, with a lot of different, militaries of different countries. So I got to talk to, you know, just the British. So they were wondering, how could we elect Donald Trump? You know, and I mean, it's hard to explain. I mean, even when I travel, just in my personal travels, people are always asking me every day. Every time I go anywhere, you know, I went to Kenya, and they were asking me, well, how could I, you know, it's hard. It's hard to explain. It's hard.
It's very hard to explain. Exactly. You're listening to Real Talk with K-Dub on the Marcus J. On the Ain't No Half Step Was Marcus J. show. So we talked. We spoke about social issues, what have you, and you were over there doing a number of things that were happening here in the States. I would definitely like for you to tell me about, you know, obviously, you know, you were hearing about Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, and just a myriad of a whole lot of other issues that were based around race in regards to the police interaction with black people, even the whole thing about the Flint water situation. You know, we can go on and on and on. What was the number of the soldiers' reaction, and also, let me ask you this. Was there any type of filtering of information that you were getting over there as well?
No filter. Definitely every morning, where I worked at, every morning we watch MSNBC, CNN. I mean, we got the same news pretty much that you got. Because, you know, like I said, we were on the base. Of course, I know people that work in Intel and work in, you know, different people that had more information than the general public or whatever. But I was actually here before I started working overseas. That's when Trayvon Martin, the situation with Trayvon Martin happened. So I was here for that. But the first thing that happened a couple of years later after Trayvon, the biggest thing was the Mike Brown situation. And, of course, you know, it was on in the MWR, it was on in the DFAC, which is the dining facility. That's where everybody eats at. So we have TVs on. I mean, it was just on all day. So everything, every Eric Gardner, everything that you see that was probably on TV here was on TV there. And it was a lot of discussions. I didn't feel like anybody was getting out of control with it, but there were a lot of heated discussions, you know, between black, white. I mean, people that don't live in the States, you know, I think it's harder for them to understand what is going on with the police and just, you know, minorities in general, you know, in dealing with the police. But we had a lot of good discussions, you know, a couple of arguments, of course. But, you know, even within the black community, you know, everybody wasn't just team, you know, whatever that everybody else was on. There were people. I had a young lady. She was in the Army. I think she was a reserve, and she is from St. Louis, and she was so upset that everybody was just basically ruining the neighborhood and rioting, and then you have the other people saying, well, do you know why they're doing it? And she was, so there were a lot of different opinions flying around. Just, like I said, just like here.
Yeah. I know that, granted, you can take your uniform on and off, but you can't really change your skin, and I would assume that there were a number of soldiers, whether they were from, the inner city or, from other backgrounds or what have you, that they had their, differing opinions, ideas. Right. And I'm sure that there were some people that, were kind of maybe even ignorant to some of the things that, that we as Black people deal with every day,
Right.
So, that's kind of cool to, at least know that no one is over there not being informed and they still understand what the struggle is, Oh,
so look, definitely. I mean, the awareness, here, you can unplug from the TV, you have other things to do. So you work, you have a job to do. You have, recreational activities. You have a family. You have, husbands, wives. Over there, it's kind of like you're in a fishbowl, and the stuff just kind of stays with you, and it lingers on probably a little longer over there than it would here, because here it's like 15 minutes is up and they're on to the nenext story. Over there, the conversations will go on and on and on and on. So
right. So look, you being on the base, obviously it is a real war. How exactly was death being dealt with on the base? I remember that while you were over there was a plane crash that took place, and I believe that the plane had left from your particular base. If those that may not be aware, there was a plane that was carrying some, I believe that they were carrying some tanks, and not too long after takeoff, the plane wound up crashing, and a number of the people that were on board met their fatal end or what have you. What how was death dealt with in regards to soldiers that may go out and not come back?
So in regards to, I'm going to touch on two different situations. That situation, that was the closest to me, because I was working nights at that time, and I was, I got woken up by that sound, and I didn't know what it was, because sometimes they do controlled detonations and, things of that nature. So you hear sounds all the time. I heard it, and then when I got up to go to work, people were telling me about it, and I think it had made it to YouTube. And that particular plane was not a passenger plane, but it was the same company that we always use, because we had charter flights. So that National was the name of the actual airline, and like you said, they were carrying MRAPs on the back or whatever. So it wasn't full of people, but of course people still died. But then, I mean, honestly, I was going to work and I saw the plane. They hadn't got rid of the wreckage. I would have to ride past the plane, the crashed plane, every single day for a long time until they got rid of it. There were soldiers that got killed by a missile at the bus stop. You hear about it, but because it hasn't directly affected you, it's kind of just like a sad cloud, and then everything gets back to normal. It's kind of like how you hear about Trayvon and all these people, Brown. You hear about it, but it's not directly affecting you, even though you're upset about it, even though you feel like you want to do something about it. You don't, because you have to keep going to work. You have to keep doing, living your life or whatever. So it's kind of crazy. But I mean, I know people who were affected by VBIDs, or those are when they put detonators like in the street or whatever, so a car will go through and it'll, those VBIDs, I know people who have gotten blown up in the VBID. I know people who've been in it and survived, I personally or whatever, and you see them coming back to the base, like smoke on their face, and it's crazy. It's crazy. It doesn't seem real, but
it kind of puts. Does it make you think about those movies that you've seen before, like that had to deal with war?
And see, I don't watch those movies on purpose.
Okay.
I did watch a couple of I watched a couple of movies like Benghazi and some of the movies. I think 13 Hours. I definitely watched that. But yeah, I mean, what you see there, like when those people are going through the towns or whatever, those are the soldiers, like I said, that go outside the base. They're in the city. They're going out every day, literally risking their lives every single day. Obviously, we have intel and we have, we try to do the best we can, but we don't always catch it. So, I had a soldier, he used to come in the gym every day. He was 7 days away from going home. They were ending their deployment. He got out of his car, and someone rolled by on a bike and slit his throat,
Damn.
I mean,
what?
Yeah, I mean, I have never been outside the base, thank God, unless I was on a helicopter, but I know, I have a bunch of stories now, 4 years down the line, I have a bunch of stories about people you see every day and then you don't see them because they've died. Now, thank God, honestly, 2012 to 2016, it wasn't like an active, situation as far as the war is concerned. Like people who were there in 2002, through 2008, like they saw a lot more deaths. They saw a lot more, mine, was kind of winding down or whatever. It was like one here, one there or whatever. But, still, it's just saddening. There's nothing you can do. It's just, like I said, it's just like a sad cloud on the base. And, you hear certain things over the PA system, and when you hear those calls, you know what that means. Somebody's died.
Wow. That's wow. We can't even fathom it. You're listening to Real Talk with K-Dub. On the base, you stated that there were a number of different other armies that kind of shared locations with you. The Afghans, the locals, how was their interaction, and what was your interaction with some of the local people that may have worked on base with you?
Okay, so I would say 90% of the locals were cool. In my opinion, they're Americans and they're contractors and military that they wouldn't trust the local to save their lives. You know what I mean? I wasn't like that. I was cool with them. I treated them. I treat them as equal as possible. They didn't have certain rights. They had to come through the gate every day. They had the retina scan. They got patted down every day. They couldn't take stuff from the base, things of that nature. So they weren't on the same level as us, of course. But, I treated them, honestly, when I was over there for 4 years, I mean, they looked out for me. If I needed anything from outside the base, they would get it for me. They would, even go as far as taking my clothes to the laundry. They were really, really nice to me and my coworkers because we treated them really good.
Okay.
There are other people that didn't treat them well, and I was well aware of it. But in my presence, I made sure, nobody was talking to my locals crazy or whatever, because they become like your family, I had 14 locals under me, and they helped me do all the events and set up, breakdown. We worked as a team. So their mentality, some of them were from the outskirts. Some of them were from the city. Some of them wore the traditional garb. Some of them wore Levi's, So it's kind of dependent on where they were from. And, they were all 100% Muslim. Of course, they prayed 5 times a day, which they built into their schedule for work. But some of them believed some things I definitely don't believe in, and then some of them, but we didn't really try to talk about religion too much because, we're in a Muslim country and they're Muslim, and we had to have respect for that. Even if we didn't agree with it, you respect it and you keep moving,
Exactly. Okay, all right. Well, I got 2 more questions for you.
Okay.
The first one, you being a black female and you're over in another country, how exactly did you or were you able to take care of your general needs? You know what I'm saying? Hair care products.
Yeah.
I know the same things that we have here, are not readily available there. So how did you do that?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so before I went overseas, let me just say I went natural, so I didn't have a perm or anything like that. But there were women on the base. Of course, you know, you basically when you're living like that, even overseas, you know, playing basketball, like you just become a kitchen beautician basically. So you do your own hair, or there's you know, like I said, the military is like college. So you have somebody who braids, you have somebody who does relaxers, you have somebody who does twists, you know, or maintain locks or whatever. So there was always a soldier who could do all that. We did have a hair salon on the base. We have a tailor, a hair salon, a guy who did alterations, like a little corner store, pizza place. Just different little stores on the base.
I ain't had no bodega. You ain't had no bodegas or nothing like that. Wasn't nobody running numbers.
We had the
You lying? Are you serious?
That's exactly what I called it. I walked in and they had all the chips, the cookies, the juices.
They had the cat sitting on the bread. They
did not have the cat sitting on the bread. That was the only thing that made it not a bodega. But everybody from New York and New Jersey, when we went in there, we were like, go get me something from the bodega, literally. So, but, yeah, I just, like I said, I would do my roommate's hair. She would do mine or, you know, that wasn't a problem.
You just tried to make it happen as close to what you were used to here in the States.
Yes, and then we also have a PX, which is just the store, the military store. So, like, if you were to go on a base here in the States, they have a PX or BX, depending on where you're at, and they have everything. The only thing, of course, they didn't sell was liquor. But the one thing that saved everybody is Amazon. Amazon ships over there. So we ordered a lot of stuff from Amazon and Walmart.
Damn, the power of the Internet. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Finally, last question. You and I, we go way back.
Yes.
My question to you is, if you had the ability to talk to 18-year-old Nyree, what would you tell her?
Ooh, 18-year-old Nyree.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm one of them people. I'm one of those people who I believe everything happens for a reason and things go down how they go down. But if I were to tell my 18-year-old self, a couple of things that I would do differently is I would definitely work harder basketball-wise. I got a late start. I started playing when I was 14, and so I didn't really understand the game until I got to college. But I would say work harder basketball-wise. And then also I would have gotten married a little. I would have got married younger. I'm not married yet, but I'm just saying I would have got married younger.
Okay. All right.
But other than that, I mean, I feel like I have a good life. I feel like I've lived a good life so far. And I've done a lot of good things, and I feel like it's going to, I feel like I'm going to continue to do really good things and have good opportunities come my way. And, so I'm not mad. I'm definitely not mad. I, of course, we all look back and think, we could have made better decisions, especially when we were younger, college-wise or whatever. But I feel good about the choices I made.
Mind you, everybody, we're talking to, she said be better in basketball. Just to let you know, Old Dominion Hall of Fame as well as WNBA champion with the Houston Comets. So, you think about that, and she still wanted more. How about that? And I would say personally, one of the top 10 best girls high school basketball players to come out of come out of the state of New Jersey. So think about that.
All right.
But
all right.
Nyree, I want to thank you for taking the time and just, taking the time allowing me to talk to you on Real Talk on the Ain't No Half-Stepping Show with Marcus J. on Legacy Internet Radio. As always, you're a friend of the show, a friend to the station. Anytime you want to just chop it up or chime in or what have you, are more than welcome to come to call in. Again, I want to thank you. And right now, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more of the Ain't No Half-Stepper Show with Marcus J. This is your man, K-Dub, with Real Talk. Talk to you on the other end. Peace.
Bye-bye.